Welcome to the Inner Athlete Podcast, where we help young athletes, parents, and coaches build strong, resilient, and high-performing athletes for sport and life. I'm Trent Peter He, head strength conditioning coach and founder of Inner Athlete. Each episode, we break down the training, mindset, and habits that actually matter, from strength and speed development to injury prevention, confidence, and long-term athletic growth. Whether you're a parent trying to support your child or an athlete chasing their potential, you're in the right place. Let's get into today's episode.
I'm just to myself, just thinking about the race, and then when I get to the blocks, I'm already in that mode. I might do some bit of jumping, get the heart rate up, and then I'm gone. But what I've noticed, especially in the more like Commonwealth trials and Olympic trials, the top athletes, they obviously got their clothes on, they're nice and warm, but they're also chatting. So I might experiment a bit with that, but they're not like me, where they just put their goggles on, caps, and then just focus. They're just chatting with their mates. It's almost like a state, like they're trying to, reduce the pressure to it.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Trey?
What's my thoughts? All right. My background's rugby league. I'm more of a calm person. Going back to my history of sport, sometimes I playing rugby league. Like the warm up is I'm like play music. Just kind of get up and about, high fives, a lot of touches with teammates and all that. Really talking, get the communication up. So you're kind of preparing for, the 80-minute battle, essentially. Swimming is obviously a little bit different because it's such a short window of time.
The 2-minute battle.
Yeah, it's a 2-minute mental battle, right? More so. And then usually I'd want the ball as soon as possible because mentally that kind of gets me in the game.
Okay.
And then it's like, okay, and then I'm more present, and then I can't think of anything else. Literally, I'm just like, I'm in the moment.
Yeah. It's like a warrior mentality. It's just do the job. Don't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Could be destructive, but it also could be a good thing.
Yeah, but I'm also, as your IQ improves over time with sport, you learn to kind of like. You help someone becomes your eyes as well and your ears, and then you become someone else's eyes and ears as well. So this is what, working with the soccer girls is, telling someone what to do is they're being your eyes. They're telling you that someone is there, or you need to press or be mindful of this. And that's what like coaches do on the sideline as well, naturally. In terms of the psychology, or in terms of like the mental prep as well, I would always say someone who's very calm and relaxed is someone who's going to be able to quickly fire. Like, what I mean by that is if someone who's very focused and intense, sometimes they end up being more stiff.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing with the high level swimmers. We're talking about, top 15, top 20 in the world. They are wanting to be as calm and relaxed. It's keeping their heart rate low. It's keeping the respiratory rate low. Yep. It's keeping more and staying in that aerobic state, and they're not burning through glucose
I was
and glycogen.
Just about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably part of the reason why you do have that hit of honey to help preserve a little bit of that energy as well, 15 minutes prior. So if you're in more an aerobic state, and more of that calm and relaxed, that's where performance really lies, is, being loosey-goosey and relaxed, it might be, some of them do like really like tuck jumps. 9 times out of 10, I can tell if someone's going to perform really well if they actually look relaxed. Like if you go back to like old school footage of like Diego Maradona, do you know who he is? Anyways, a famous soccer player. He's very good. He would.
Oh, with the untied Adidas shoes. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I've seen his warm-ups. It's so different from everybody else.
It's so calm and relaxed. He's just dancing and enjoying himself. So he's getting into like what we would call like a flow. Like everyone says, like flow state. Bloody kids these days. We're on good terms. They get into this flow state. And then in that flow state is where you're just so aware of your surroundings, but you can mentally switch on to, or you can mentally choose where you put your focus into as well. So rather than be like intense energy, it's almost like it becomes like really tight and restricted. You want to be almost like you're like relaxed, and then you're like almost like it's like, oh, that's how you want to be responding. You want to be like really relaxed. And then when it's time to actually engage, you can respond. So if you watch sprinters, and this was at, when was the last games? Paris. a lot of sprinters prior, track sprinters I'm talking about, what they'll do is they would stand and listen to the gun going off. But what they'll do is they'll stand and just listen, and then literally, boom, as soon as the gun went off. So they actually getting their brain to respond, or getting themselves to respond to the stimulus.
Yep.
And that's what I actually would say to a lot of swimmers. It doesn't have to necessarily be this, but something that would be able to represent something like them being able to react to the stimulus.
Yeah, well, I've seen swimmers do that. They will go like that.
Yeah.
And so I sort of copy that, especially for the. The start is good for all the races, but especially for the 50, where I just need to be switched on, because it all counts, especially in the 50.
It's accumulation of very small moments in the 50, where in a 200 you can get away with minor errors here and there. Yep. Especially as fatigue increases as well. The 50 is, I'd consider the 50 more like a routine or a dance, because you literally, know how many strokes you're going to do, like the angle you're going to turn your head at, if you are going to turn your head in 53, but most of them don't now because the race is, 22 seconds now. It's getting shorter. You can hold your breath for that long. Most of them should be able to at this day and age.
For at least 10 seconds, the ATP.
Yeah, but even then, you can still hold your breath longer beyond that as well. So then the lactate actually accumulates quite rapidly, or quite quickly from that state. That would be my case. Is it's more just being relaxed, and then when you're relaxed and kind of like in that real like flow state, that's why a lot of them will listen to music, and then a lot of athletes will actually listen to like classical music.
Oh, okay.
As well, or even reggae.
Yeah.
Because anxiety...
C418 Minecraft music.
Yeah. So even like your anxiety increases, right, when you're there, especially when you're around names that you've heard of numerous times, and, the times that they're swimming at the moment as well, when your nerves can be quite high. But really, if you just more in a calm, relaxed state, your breathing is going to be a lot more relaxed, and then you're going to be more in that aerobic zone, rather than jumping into a panic state.
Okay, all right. I've had a bit of experience.
It's kind of the inverse,
but sometimes I don't use any music. And I know everyone, like a lot of people use music, but I sort of like to be present there. And so I try to like what you said, like accumulate those small experiences, and like the start where you're just there. Because as soon as you take off your headphones, there's no music. It's the race. Yeah. So I sometimes perform better without music, but I get why that's like.
Well, you might just wear just noise cancelling headphones and just have nothing on.
Yeah.
Because then you feel like there's one less stimulus, and then you become more hypersensitive to the sound of the gun going off. And also then you can just do the mental preparation, like you said before. It's just like if you're thinking about the race,
maybe a little easier. Yeah.
You're thinking about like how the turn, like you're mentally rehearsing how the turn's going to be. There is like some evidence to suggest that if you're mentally preparing or rehearsing in your head, it has a carryover effect to the actual physical performance as well. So that's why, like, coaches do harp on, count your strokes. There's actual evidence to suggest that it does help. Move forward. It's a growing area as well with the psychology component. I think a lot of kids are starting to tap more into it and becoming more self-aware of that, and finding tools and resources with that. But I think the biggest one is developing self-belief in yourself, knowing that you've earned the right to be there. Some athletes kind of have a big fish, small pond mentality as well. Like they don't want to go any further because they don't want to feel small again as well. And that can be a bit of a barrier for them to actually break out into the next level, whether it's going from state to nationals. Some people go to nationals for the first time and they feel so overwhelmed. Now when this big pond, now they're like, kind of like, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, sometimes it has to bring back to the things you can control. So you have like what's called the internal and external locus of control. Your external locus of control is things you can't control, which is usually just your external environment. the internal locus control is like what you can actually control yourself. So it's usually, your thinking, your breathing.
Oh yeah.
Just like your physical prep.
I was just thinking like positivity. It's like too often like athletes think negatively even before a race, which is just like it's not good. It's not good. I get it if maybe after a race you get a bad performance, bad PB, you can be a bit negative. But like before a race, guys, come on.
Yeah.
You need to be positive because you need to believe in yourself that you can, perform. It's just I would say it's like another barrier. If you're already like talking yourself down, it's another barrier that you have to endure during a race because when things get tough, it's easier to think negatively.
Well, I think it would be like there's two types of criticism. There's constructive criticism, and that can be external from your coach or internal in yourself. But I've just literally just thought of this as destructive criticism.
Okay.
So destructive criticism is like, I didn't do this well. The turns were terrible. It's just like, that is not necessarily helpful to understand because it's not allowing you to like, all right, what do you need to do differently in order to improve the turns? Well, that would be the way to make it more constructive criticism. Like, your turns weren't good. What do you need to work on, or who do you need to speak to work on the turns? And that's where I think a lot of athletes kind of struggle. Is I didn't do this well. And I'm just like, I get that, but what do you want? Do you want to improve?
Yeah.
On that, and it's like, yeah. It's like, what do you think you need to improve on?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, have you spoken to anyone about it? And it's like, no. Do you reckon it'll be valuable to speak to someone about it? So yeah, possibly. But now you're giving them a little bit more accountability, but also a bit more ownership of their own development moving forward as well. So it's like, that's why, when it comes to like states and nationals, I'm always asking everyone, it's like, how'd you go? So it went good. Like, one went good. It's like, I got PBs in 4 races and I made 2 finals. I'm like, great, excellent. Yeah. Well done. And it's like, what was different between last time and this time in terms of your racing? Like, what exactly that you did, or might have been 2 or 3 things that you did well, and then just like slept better, ate a little bit more in the morning or the night before.
Yeah,
like great.
On terms of eating, I think a lot of people. I find that if you eat straight after your race, you're more easily back up the next race. And I grew up with having so many events. Like it was just sort of I'm used to having backing up race after race after race, and so it was very important for me to eat straight away. And this was like a quite recent thing, maybe 2 years ago, where Ian was harping on about just you need to be eating at least something like before your race. And so I'm finished my race, I hop out. I get straight to my lunchbox and I'm eating whatever's there, grapes, fruits,
jam sandwich, something like that, pikelets,
muffins.
Yeah.
Not particularly healthy, but it's just as long as I'm eating something, then I'm getting a bit of a drink and then I'm cool down and then my coach.
If you're getting value from the Inner Athlete podcast, make sure you like, subscribe and leave a review. It helps more parents and young athletes find the right guidance and keeps this podcast growing. Back to the show.
Yeah. The thing is, though, when you're getting a little bit more fuel on board, you're actually increasing your blood glucose supply, and that's going to help with the recovery process. But it's also going to prepare yourself for if you have finals that night as well.
Yeah, you recover faster. What was it like? Eating 30 minutes before your race will halve the recovery time.
You're talking about like protein intake.
But I believe that's for. I mean, it's for anything, but it's mostly for training.
But yeah, I think the other part is it's also going to spare your muscle glycogen. So blood glucose and muscle glycogen. Muscle glycogen is basically readily available energy. Blood glucose has to travel into the muscles in order to be broken down into glycogen it converts to glycogen in the muscle, and then it can be broken down to create ATP essentially. And what it does, having something small to eat does preserve your muscle glycogen. But like I said, it's going to prepare you for if you have another race for that morning, or it's going to help you prepare for finals, moving forward as well. So it's going to start a muscle glycogen sparing side as well. So there is some benefit to having something small, but also something that would be considered high GI. So the glycemic index is quite high. It means it's going to be broken down more like rapidly, rather than something being low GI. So if you have like oats or like rice, some rices are actually considered low GI, but even with pasta can actually create some stomach upset as well. So finding actually what works, for you. So whether it is, usually I'll say like a jam sandwich, or people like certain fruit as well, or dried fruit. I prefer dried fruit because it's just easy and
faster to break down. With the mangoes, dry.
It depends on the dried fruit itself, because some fruit will have high fiber. So high fiber just it slows down the absorption, and some people can leave them a bit bloated and heavy. So mango would be good. Pineapple is actually a really good one as well, especially for those who like sour lollies and stuff like that. So it has a bit of a sour flavour to it. So those are some simple strategies that people can utilise with themselves. But I wanted to talk about small improvements. So I've had Holly on the podcast, who was a former teammate of yours at MSC, and we've spoken about her PBs were very small. They're like 0.2, 0.3. They weren't major like big PBs or anything like that, but they were consistent. Some kids these days, they're looking for that 3 to 5 second PB drop, when coming into main competitions, expecting a lot. Now, how did you what was your mentality when it came to PBs in terms of the size of the PBs? And how did you if it was quite negative, how did you work about that? Or have you always had a mindset, a PB is a PB, it just means I'm moving in the right direction?
I had a pretty simple mindset. It wasn't too much of a focus on PBs in particular, but it was more the invisible experience you get. I was thinking more like experience points, like in a game. Like every time you race, you just get that experience. You're more experienced than you were before the race. And so, especially like challenging races, like I found the 200 IM is one of the challenging races. And so even though my mum would say I'm really good at the 200 IM. It was just like, I didn't really care about too much about the times. It was just like, I finally finished the race. Thank God I finished the race.
Yeah.
I'm alive. And I got that experience. And so for next time I do it, it's going to become a little easier. Even though I might drop a small amount, I know that the race I did before, which I was regretting, was worth it. And that goes for any other race. That's particularly hard for any swimmer out there. And no race is a bad race. It's just experience.
Yeah, just getting reps in.
Yeah.
And just, like you said, gaining experience. And then what did you do well in that race and carrying it to the next race? What didn't work out? Making those minor adjustments prior to the next competition.
Yeah, and I believe you grow when you get that racing experience. You can't really replicate that in training. So doing it for real is where you get the most benefit. Yeah,
getting the race reps.
Yeah.
That's good. And then, was there any period of time where you felt like you were getting frustrated with your progress?
Yeah. Like any other normal person.
Yeah. And then, how did you overcome that? Like, what were some of the strategies that you utilized?
It was okay. Warrior mentality. That's more like ego and I need this, and I was sort of the kid that got a bit more like violent, I would say. You might see like swimmers, they might punch the wall. I was that type of kid. But I grew out of it. And it was just more like, okay, what can I do next time? And I'd use like a commonplace book, journals, and I'll just write about what I could do better, how I felt when I raced, what are the things I did really well, and what you say, constructive feedback. But it wasn't like blue skies and everything.
Sunshine and rainbows. I
did have a bit of a dark past, evil Felix.
Yeah.
And so just grew out of it. I use this. I believe it's a mental rework, a mindset rework. It was less about needing to beat this one kid to how can I improve, and more of a positive outlook on races in general.
Have you seen the photo of, I think it was Michael Phelps, and I think it was one of his competitors, and Michael Phelps is literally just looking dead straight, and his competitor's looking to the left, and I think they were doing a fly at the time. Have you seen that photo before?
I think so. Yeah.
It's the reason why I reference it is because Michael Phelps was one of those athletes. He was never looking at his competition as such. He was always looking how he can improve moving forward. And I think that's a really good lesson. Is I think looking across at what your competition is doing can be good to a point.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. You know, what environment are they in? You know, everyone's looking at Cam McAvoy now and, you know, doing less than 2Ks or swimming a week, right? And now everyone's, you know, implementing pull-ups, neutral grip pull-ups, that is, into their programs. But no one's really looking at how he's looking at training. He's looking at where his gaps was. And that's why in 21, after the Tokyo Games, I think he had like a hiatus for like several months. And then he came back with a renewed focus, and he basically said, I'm just going to re-engineer myself and how I'm going to program. And he absolutely crushed Paris. Right? So I think what he did is he reflected on himself, found out where the gaps were, and then he was able to actually continue just to look forward the whole time.
Yeah. Being deliberate, the things that you're weakest at, and focusing on that in training.
Yeah, and focus on the things that, and
not just purely just, I want to beat this guy.
No.
You have just listened to the Inner Athlete podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the release of weekly episodes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to get great tips on all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.